find a seat, sitting up on that pillow, nice and tall. If it makes sense, you can start to close your eyes. And then start to just connect with your breath. So just become aware of it, just notice it. Be thinking about sitting up a little taller on your inhale to bring action to it. And a breath out to think about your shoulders just softening a little more away from your ears. And see if you can soften the jaw a little bit more. Notice if you're clenching there. Maybe even bring one hand to your belly to just feel your breath in and out. Or just notice how your belly can start to expand on the inhale. Empty as you breathe out. And do that a few more times. Just to find this physical anchor or this physical sense of center. Maybe it's something that you come back to throughout your practice or throughout the rest of your day. And just take one more big breath in and let it be purposeful as you breathe all the way in. Maybe even open up your mouth. Let out a slow sigh. And you can start to blink your eyes open if they're closed. Keep sitting up nice and tall. Then start to drop your chin towards the center of your chest, but keep drawing your shoulders slightly back. So you're not rounding forward, but can you sit up tall, but just drop the head? And you might just right away feel a stretch in the upper back and the neck and the shoulders. And slowly start to roll your right ear over to the right. And if it feels good, maybe even reach your left hand away from that sensation. So you're just like reaching away. And if that feels good, stay or play with it a little bit. Move your head around, move your arm around. And you can take your right hand to the top of your head. And then rather than pulling your head down, I don't want you to pull so much, just a little bit of pressure. And then see if you can press your head back up into your hand. So that might deepen the sensation a little bit. And then you might even think about having a pencil on the tip of your nose. Breathing in. And thinking about tracing a line up towards the ceiling with that pencil, and then breathing out. Trace that line down to the ground. Feel free to stay at any of those points along the way where you feel tension. Breathe into it, maybe to think about softening it. And And release. Come back to center. And then switch what leg is in front. Or if you need to, give your legs a little bit of a shake. Bring opposite shin in front. Sit up tall on your inhale. And then drop your chin back to the center of your chest. Now you go to the other side. So roll left ear to the left. Reach right arm away from that sensation. Play with that placement. And then maybe consider bringing left hand to the top of your head. A little bit of a tug, but then press your head back up into your hand. So you're creating an active stretch here. So it's not just using the weight of your hand to pull your head, but when you create that active stretch, you're creating strength and length at the same time. So think of that pencil on the tip of your nose, draw that line straight up towards the ceiling or draw it higher, and then draw it down towards the ground. So something you can do, this active sort of stretch to get into all of those muscles in the sides of your neck, even your upper traps, your upper back. Once you feel complete with that release, come back up through center. Take a breath in and reach both arms up and overhead. And then interlace your fingers and flip your palms up towards the sky. You might even look up and lift your chest a little higher. Take one more breath in. Out, release. And then take your hands behind you just a little bit. Your fingers draw out to the sides and then plant your feet about hips width distance apart. And then just enough to lift your seat and then rock side to side. So just bringing your shoulders in a different orientation. Take one more breath in, lift your seat higher. And then drop it down, cross your ankles again and flip to tabletop pose. So hands and knees, you can move that pillow off to the side. And with your hands right underneath your shoulders, start to take a breath in and lift your chest, finding cow. And then press into your hands, round your back and drop your head, find cat. Do that one more time with your own breath. So the inhale lifts you high. The exhale, you round, but then stay rounded here. Another stretch in the upper back. I want you to stay rounded, but start to lean back. So think about sending your seat back towards your heels, but keep your upper back pressing up towards the sky. It's just a different stretch here than in regular cat pose. And if that feels good, maybe walk your hands over to the right. So you find a little bit more stretch in the side waist. Keep that roundness and then walk your hands over to the left. And come back to center. Start to tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. So keep your knees nice and bent and drop your head, let it hang heavy. Stay here, take a full inhale. Big breath out. And something that also helps to create space in the neck and the shoulders when we're in down dog is taking our hands a little bit wider than we normally would. So just play with that. See if that creates more space. Take one more full inhale. Full exhale, and then maybe even take your feet a little bit wider, bend the knees and walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're at the back of your mat. And then maybe sway like ragdoll here, side to side. Pause in the middle, and then slowly start to roll all the way up. Standing, flip your palms forward. Now shrug your shoulders as you breathe in. Create that tension there, and then breathe out, let it go, soften it. Do that one more time. Inhale, squeeze the shoulders up, create that tension first. And then exhale, roll them back and down. Keep that, but sweep the arms high as you inhale. And then sit back into chair pose right away. And then stay for the breath in. Bring your hands to your heart center to lessen that load in the shoulders, but keep your gaze forward as you inhale. Maybe sink a little bit lower back into that seat as you empty. And then stand back up. This time, hook the thumbs overhead. Take the elbows wide, creating like the letter O as you lift the chest up. And then release it as you fold forward, but soften the knees to hinge at the hips. Take your halfway lift. Heart goes forward here. And then walk your hands back to that downward facing dog. Play with the placement of your hands. Maybe it's wider as you breathe in. Strong breath out. Now use your inhale to rise up to your toe. Drop your knees down to the ground. Start to send your right leg behind you. Let it float. You can stay here, or maybe your left hand floats forward as well. Take one breath in. And then exhale, tap elbow and knee together underneath you. Draw them in. And then pull it apart as you inhale. Take your left hand down, tuck your right toes onto the earth behind you. Press back through the right heel. And then spin that right heel down, open up to that modified side plank. Your right hand will rise. And then right away, right arm reaches up overhead. And then reach your hand back up high. Start to bring your right hand to the back of your head here. Now take a breath in to lift your right elbow just a little bit higher here. You almost spin your chest up. And then as you exhale, think right elbow tapping your left elbow, and you round and twist at the same time, getting another stretch in the upper back. One more like that. Inhale, open up, elbow to the sky. And then exhale, they tap as you round. Now open up as you breathe in, reach the right hand back up. And slowly start to come up to find gate. Right hand drops down, left hand will rise. One more breath in to look up. And then exhale, both hands come down, back to tabletop. Find cow on the inhale. Round for cats. Back to neutral, then it's the left leg, send it back. Right arm floats forward. Use your inhale to lengthen, pull it apart. One time, right elbow, left knee, draw together underneath you. And then pull it apart, breathe in. Right hand drops down, tuck the left toes onto the ground. Press back through the left heel. And then spin that heel down to open up to the left side. Left arm will rise. Reach it overhead. And then reach back up. Left hand to the back of your head. So leading with the elbow here. Can you open the chest? And then exhale, left elbow taps the right elbow and round. One more like that. Inhale, open up. And then exhale, you round. Now this time you open up, but reach the left hand high. Let it pull you up as you rise, gate pose. Left hand will drop down, right arm will rise. And then it's back to tabletop pose. Lift the heart, find cow. Round, find cat. Now back to neutral. Tuck the toes, float the knees. Send the hips back and up, downward facing dog. If you need to pedal the feet, go for it. Now this time you'll rise up to your toes, take a huge inhale. Start to bend your knees, look to the top of your mat and take 2 big steps to get there, or a bunch of little steps. Once you're there, you fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Hands catch your hips, stand all the way up. Sweep the arms high. And then hands to your heart center. Keep them there as you bend the knees, sit back into chair pose. Awesome. And then keep your breath. Inhale through your nose. Breathe out. Now, like you did before, hook the thumbs overhead. Take the elbows wide like the letter O as you stand up. Now, start to shift the weight into the right foot. You want to play with balance a little bit and pick your left knee up, hip height. Maybe you send that left leg forward, and then you'll just swing that leg back, landing in a lunge. So you might take a little moment to wobble. That front foot might come a little wider out to the right. Soften that back knee as you reach the hands up, or if it feels like a lot, maybe you start to hook the thumbs, or they stay there, and the elbows go wide. So you create this active stretch in the neck, the upper back. Take one more inhale, and then open up to warrior two. And once you're there, reverse your warrior. Right hand will rise, find that length. Start to straighten your right leg. Now take your left hand to your right wrist. Lean back a little bit more towards the back of your mat. Now pick the right toes up, let them parallel the left. Maybe even look up to your hands, and then forward fold. And soften your knees if you need to, halfway lift. Open your mouth, drop the head, maybe shake it out yes and no again. Maybe even take some shoulder shrugs here, or roll the shoulders one at a time. So you can really let gravity do a little bit more work here. I say that often, but rarely do we give ourselves time or an opportunity to get upside down. Take a full breath in, let it release as you empty, and then halfway lift again. Think chest parallel to the ground. And then bend your left knee, find a side lunge here. Stay for the inhale. Now look to your right foot as it turns forward and you find a low lunge. Frame that foot with your hands. Back heel is lifted. Now drop the left knee down on the ground, sweep the arms high, take an inhale. Take your left hand forward, right hand goes back. You find a twist to the right. You might even start to wrap your right forearm behind you, and then bring your left forearm in front. So you're like wrapping your arms around your trunk. And I want you to stay here for the breath in. Now think about driving your right elbow back. Maybe even look over your right shoulder. So another place to create strength before you can then stretch that place out. And then release it. Look forward, sweep the arms high, take a breath in. Bring them down back to frame your right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee. And then just step left foot up to meet the right. Forward fold, halfway lift. Hands catch your hips. And you stand all the way up. Sweep the arms out and up, take a breath in. Again, hands to your heart, sit back into chair. Your last one here, I promise. Stay for the inhale. Stay as you exhale. Now stand all the way up, hook the thumbs, elbows wide, creating that letter O. Shift the weight into the left foot and pick the right knee up. Hip height, just about. Maybe extend that leg long, play with balance, take one more breath in. Try not to lean back, but then swing that right leg back and land in a lunge. Softening that back knee a lot. So your low back can almost not come to neutral, but be more engaged in the front and supported in the back. Now reach the hands high, keeping that letter O if you want. Take one more breath in and then open up to warrior two. And right away, reverse it. Left hand will rise. Straighten your left leg. Right hand to your left wrist this time and lean towards the back of your mat. And pick your left toes up, parallel your feet. One more inhale. And then exhale to fold. Letting everything go again. Shake the head out, yes. No, maybe even open and close your mouth a few times if you're holding tension there in the jaw. Soften it. And back to that halfway lift here. Bend through your right knee. So that side lunge happens here. The weight just shifts towards the right. And then you look to your left foot, frame it in that low runner's lunge facing the front of your mat. Your right knee will drop, sweep the arms high, take a breath in to lift up. Then it's your twist to the left. Right hand goes forward first, left hand goes behind you, and then you find that wrap. So just wrapping the right forearm in front, and the back of your hand can come to your low back or your right hip. Take a breath in. Drive your left elbow back. Maybe even look over your left shoulder. So thinking about twisting from the middle, but then using the upper back muscles to maybe deepen. And then face the front. Sweep the arms high as you inhale. Bring the hands down, framing your left foot. Tuck the back toes and lift the knee. Now this time, step back to downward facing dog. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just finding that almost like point of reset. Maybe you shake the hips side to side. Take one more breath in. You'll rise up to your toes. And then drop your knees down, right into cow, lift your chest. Press down into your hands, round your upper back. Finding cat pose. And now you'll come back into the middle. And so we're gonna do something similar like we did before. Take your right hand to the back of your head. Now see if you can lift the right elbow up. It's almost like you're twisting over to the right. And then as you exhale, right elbow taps your left wrist. You can soften that left arm, of course, and then do that again. Inhale, open up. And then exhale, it taps. Now, this time it's a little different. You'll reach the right hand up or out to the side, whatever feels good. And then you'll thread the needle. So your right arm will come in between your left arm and your left leg. Reach it over to the left and drop your right ear or temple down to the ground. Another way you can get this stretch, you can make it as active or passive as you need to. But stay with your breath. You're just here for 2. If it feels good, you want a little more, press down through your left hand. And maybe start to spin your chest up or lean away from your right fingertips. Last one. And then slowly rise back up. Come back to tabletop. Shift the weight forward. Take the knees a little wider and then just pull the hips back in space. Find a child's pose. As a moment of pause in the middle, stay for the breath in. Breath out. Take one more like that. Ground down as you inhale. Maybe even open up your mouth. Let out that sigh as you empty. And then you'll shift the weight back forward, nice and slow, coming back to that last tabletop pose. Left hand behind your head, lift the elbow as you breathe it. And then exhale, your left elbow taps your right wrist. Rounded. One more like that. Inhale, open up. Exhale, you'll round. Now reach the left hand high. You get to thread it through and bring your left ear, your left temple to the ground. Gaze is at your left hand. Now again, you can make this as active or passive as you prefer. Stay here for 3. Last 2. Final 1. Slowly arise. Release it. Coming back to tabletop. Lifting the chest. Finding cow. And exhaling, you round. Finding cat. And then you start to come to a seat, nice and easy. Your right shin can come in front of the left, knees as wide as you'd like them to be. Sitting up nice and tall. Pause here for a moment, maybe even shrug the shoulders, breathe in. Open your mouth as they fall, breathe out. Now start to take your arms behind you. You can grab or interlace your fingers and just almost make like one big fist if that feels okay. Now try not to round again. Can you drive your shoulders back as you sit up nice and tall? Keep that clasp of the fists and bring both of them just over to the left hip. Just enough, like even just, they don't have to come all the way over, just enough to create a little more space on the right side of the neck. And then drop your chin down to your chest. And then roll your left ear over to the left. A different way to experience that stretch here. And if that clasp is too much, you can release it. Maybe open palms feel better. So your left palm just presses into your right. And then you find movement with the head. It'll be a nice place where you can release that tension. Spend a little bit more time here. And then release. Take your arms out in front of you and wrap your right arm on top of the left and grab opposite shoulders here. So take a counter stretch. A breath in to lift the elbows just a little bit higher. And then exhale to draw them forward and round forward. Maybe drop the head. And come back up. Arms out like a T. And then take them down along your sides, bring them behind you, either that clasp again, or take both hands over to the left. You'll open that left palm, and your right hand can just press to keep it in place. Sit up nice and tall, and then chin to your chest. One last time, it's your right ear over to the right. Or just draw the weight of your head to the right. Move your head around. You've got a few more rounds of breath here to lean into it. And slowly start to release, arms out like a T. And this time it's left arm wrapping on top of the right, grabbing opposite shoulder blades, and then you'll lift the elbows just a bit. And then use your exhale to round forward. And can you almost use your fingertips to give a little bit of a tug to deepen that stretch in between your shoulder blades? And then you'll rise up. Take your legs out long in front of you as you unravel the arms. Make sure you have enough space behind you as you slowly start to come down to the ground. You can, by all means, place a pillow underneath you if you need to. Whatever allows you to create a little bit more rest here. And then one final shape, or a few more shapes, just bend your knees. Take your arms out like a T, palms facing up. A breath in. And let both knees fall over to the right. You don't have to go all the way to the ground, just enough to create a little bit of a stretch or a twist in the spine. And then knees back through center, let them fall to the left. Back through center. And this time, just something different. Take your hands right above your hip creases, but to your thigh bones here. And press into that space if that feels okay. Maybe create a little bit of length through the top of the head. Sometimes just creating a little bit of traction there can create space in the low back, even the mid back. One more breath in. Maybe open up your mouth. Take your legs long onto the earth, arms down along your sides, palms face up. And to create a little bit more ease in the neck, you might even consider lifting your chest a little and then drawing your shoulder blades a little bit closer together underneath you. You don't want to create tension, of course, but just by finding that little bit of a rotation in the shoulders, you can create openness in the chest as you rest. See if you can relax your toes. Soften through the hips. Soften the chest, the shoulders, and the arms, and your fingertips. Soften the jaw. Let everything release here. Even just for a few more moments to yourself. And just allow your next breath to be just a little bit bigger than the last. And just slowly invite a little bit more movement to your fingers, to your toes. Maybe even rock your head side to side. And just start by bending your knees. Roll to the side of your choice. And then press yourself up to a seat. Once you're there, sit up nice and tall. And bring your hands together at the center of your heart if that feels good. Just remembering to take this time for yourself to honor the fact that you made time for yourself. You showed up for yourself. You could send a little bit more kindness to your body, to your mind, so you can then give that kindness out to those